According to the National Electrical Code, all electrical systems must be grounded to a single point. This ensures that there is only one path for electrical current to flow in the event of a fault. Having multiple ground points can create a hazard and compromise the safety of the electrical system. When extending electrical service to a separate structure like an apartment, you have two primary options for grounding. Firstly, you can utilize the existing ground rod for the apartment. This is often the most convenient option as the ground rod is already in place. However, it's crucial to ensure that the existing ground rod is properly installed and meets the National Electrical Code requirements for ground resistance. This involves testing the resistance to ensure it's low enough to provide an effective ground path. Secondly, you can install a new, dedicated ground rod for the apartment. This is generally considered the safer option, as it ensures that the apartment has its own independent ground path. If you choose this route, the new ground rod should be located at least 10 feet away from any other ground rods, including the one at the main house. This separation helps to minimize potential interference and ensures each ground rod functions effectively. After you've determined which ground rod to use, the next step is connecting the grounding systems. This involves using a ground wire, which must be sized appropriately for the electrical service and the distance between the two grounding points. The size of the ground wire is determined by the size of the service conductors feeding the apartment. Refer to National Electrical Code Table 250.66 to determine the correct size of the grounding electrode conductor based on the size of the service entrance conductors. This table provides the minimum size requirements for grounding electrode conductors based on the size of the ungrounded service conductors. For example, if the service entrance conductors are 2/0 American wire gauge copper, the grounding electrode conductor would need to be at least 4 American wire gauge copper. When connecting the ground wire, it's essential to use appropriate connectors and methods to ensure a solid, reliable connection. Use listed and labeled connectors suitable for direct burial if the connection is underground. Ensure that all connections are tight and corrosion resistant. The grounding electrode conductor should be connected to the ground rod using a listed grounding clamp or other suitable means. The connection should be made in a manner that ensures a permanent and effective ground. It is very important to consult with a licensed electrician for proper installation and to ensure compliance with the National Electrical Code and local electrical codes. A qualified electrician can assess the specific situation, determine the appropriate grounding method, and perform the work safely and correctly. Improper grounding can create serious safety hazards, including the risk of electric shock and fire. Consider the specific requirements for grounding and bonding in the separate structure. Bonding refers to the connection of non-current carrying metal parts to create a low impedance path for fault current. This helps to ensure that metal parts are at the same electrical potential, reducing the risk of electric shock. Bond all metal parts in the apartment, such as metal water pipes, gas pipes, and metal building components, to the grounding system. Use bonding jumpers of the appropriate size to connect these metal parts together into the grounding electrode conductor. Refer to National Electrical Code Section 250.104 for specific requirements on bonding metal water piping, gas piping, and other metal parts. The size of the bonding jumpers should be determined based on the size of the service entrance conductors. When running the ground wire between the main house and the apartment, protect it from physical damage. If the wire is run underground, bury it at the proper depth according to the National Electrical Code requirements. If the wire is run above ground, protect it with conduit or other suitable means. Proper protection will prevent damage to the ground wire and ensure that the grounding system remains effective. Also, ensure that the grounding electrode conductor is accessible for inspection and testing. The connection to the ground rod should be visible and accessible, allowing for a periodic inspection to verify its integrity. This helps to ensure that the grounding system remains effective over time. If the ground rod is buried, a handhole or other access point should be provided to allow for inspection and testing of the connection. Remember that the grounding system is a critical safety feature, and it must be installed and maintained correctly to protect against electrical hazards. Improper grounding can lead to dangerous situations, including electric shock and fire. For example, if there is a fault in the electrical system, such as a short circuit, the grounding system provides a path for the fault current to flow back to the source. This causes the circuit breaker to trip, cutting off power to the circuit and preventing a dangerous buildup of voltage. Without a proper grounding system, the fault current may find an unintended path to ground, such as through a person who touches a metal part of the electrical system. This can result in a severe electric shock or even death. Consider the effects of lightning strikes. Lightning can cause a surge of electrical energy that can damage electrical equipment and create a fire hazard. A proper grounding system can help to protect against lightning strikes by providing a path for the surge current to flow to ground. This reduces the risk of damage to electrical equipment and prevents a buildup of voltage that could cause a fire. Ensure that the grounding system is properly connected to a lightning protection system if one is installed. Also, note that the National Electrical Code requires that all electrical equipment be listed and labeled by a recognized testing laboratory such as Underwriters Laboratories or Electrical Testing Laboratories. This ensures that the equipment has been tested and meets safety standards. Use only listed and labeled electrical equipment in the apartment, including circuit breakers, receptacles, and lighting fixtures. This will help to ensure the safety of the electrical system and protect against electrical hazards. Additionally, regularly inspect the electrical system to identify and correct any potential hazards. Look for signs of damage, such as frayed wires, cracked receptacles, and loose connections. Test ground fault circuit interrupters to ensure they are functioning properly. A ground fault circuit interrupter is a device that protects against electric shock by detecting small imbalances in the electrical current. If an imbalance is detected, the ground fault circuit interrupter will trip, cutting off power to the circuit and preventing a dangerous electric shock. Consider the impact of the grounding system on sensitive electronic equipment. Some electronic equipment, such as computers and audio equipment, can be sensitive to electrical noise. A proper grounding system can help to reduce electrical noise and improve the performance of sensitive electronic equipment. Use a dedicated ground wire for sensitive electronic equipment to minimize electrical noise. This can help to prevent equipment malfunctions and improve the overall performance of the electrical system. Also consider the potential for corrosion of the grounding system. Corrosion can damage the ground wire and the ground rod, reducing the effectiveness of the grounding system. Protect the ground wire and the ground rod from corrosion by using corrosion-resistant materials and coatings. Regularly inspect the grounding system for signs of corrosion and replace any damaged components. Remember that the grounding system is a critical safety feature and it must be properly maintained to ensure its effectiveness. In summary, when extending electrical service to a separate structure such as an apartment, careful attention must be paid to the grounding system. The National Electrical Code requires that all electrical systems be grounded to a single point, and there are specific requirements for ground rod selection, grounding electrode conductor sizing, and bonding. It's crucial to consult with a licensed electrician to ensure proper installation and compliance with all applicable codes and regulations. By following these guidelines, you can ensure the safety and reliability of the electrical system and protect against electrical hazards. Also, ensure that the overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers or fuses, are properly sized and installed to protect the electrical circuits in the apartment. The size of the overcurrent protection devices should be based on the ampacity of the conductors and the load served. Refer to National Electrical Code Article 240 for specific requirements on overcurrent protection. Improperly sized overcurrent protection devices can create a fire hazard. For example, if an overcurrent protection device is too large, it may not trip in the event of a fault, allowing the conductors to overheat and potentially start a fire. Furthermore, ensure that all wiring in the apartment is installed in accordance with the National Electrical Code. Use the correct type and size of conductors for the application and follow all applicable wiring methods. Proper wiring is essential for the safe and reliable operation of the electrical system. Improper wiring can create a variety of hazards, including electric shock, fire, and equipment damage. Also, ensure that all electrical boxes and enclosures are properly grounded and bonded. Metal electrical boxes and enclosures must be grounded to provide a path for fault current in the event of a short circuit. This helps to prevent electric shock and protect against equipment damage. Use grounding screws or clips to connect the grounding conductor to the electrical box or enclosure. It is very important to use only listed and labeled electrical components and equipment. Listed and labeled products have been tested and certified by a recognized testing laboratory to meet safety standards. Using non-listed or non-labeled products can create a safety hazard. In addition, educate your parents about electrical safety and how to use the electrical system safely. Explain the importance of not overloading circuits, using extension cords safely, and what to do in the event of an electrical emergency. Also, teach them how to test ground fault circuit interrupters and report any electrical problems to a qualified electrician. Another thing to consider is the installation of arc fault circuit interrupters. Arc fault circuit interrupters are devices that protect against electrical fires caused by arcing faults. An arcing fault is a dangerous condition that can occur when electricity jumps between two conductors, creating a spark that can ignite nearby materials. Arc fault circuit interrupters are required in many areas of the home, including bedrooms, living rooms, and dining rooms. Another factor to consider is surge protection. Electrical surges can damage sensitive electronic equipment. Install surge protectors at the main electrical panel and at individual outlets to protect against electrical surges. Surge protectors are available in a variety of styles and price ranges. Choose surge protectors that are appropriate for the equipment you are protecting. Also, ensure that all smoke detectors in the apartment are working properly. Smoke detectors are essential for protecting against fire. Test smoke detectors regularly to ensure they are functioning properly. Replace batteries in smoke detectors at least once a year. It is also a good idea to install carbon monoxide detectors in the apartment. Carbon monoxide is a deadly gas that is produced by burning fuels such as natural gas, propane, and wood. Carbon monoxide detectors can alert you to the presence of carbon monoxide, giving you time to evacuate the apartment. Additionally, ensure that the electrical panel in the apartment is properly labeled. Label all circuits in the electrical panel so that it is easy to identify which circuit controls which outlets and appliances. This will make it easier to troubleshoot electrical problems and shut off power to specific circuits when necessary. Also, ensure that the electrical panel is accessible and has adequate working space around it. The National Electrical Code requires that there be at least 3 feet of working space in front of the electrical panel and at least 30 inches of width. This allows for safe and easy access to the electrical panel for maintenance and repairs. Finally, it is essential to have a qualified electrician inspect the electrical system in the apartment after the work is completed. An electrician can verify that the work was done properly and that the electrical system is safe and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. This will give you peace of mind knowing that the electrical system is safe and reliable.